Welcome to Just Yoga and a really calm and settling class. My name is Ria, I'm the host of this channel. Let's start in child's pose. So get some distance in between your knees. Let your toes maybe reach each other and hip moves towards your heels, forehead on the ground. Maybe you take your hands to the front end of your mat or maybe back. When we are in child's pose, let's try to breathe out through the side of our ribs. So we broaden as we inhale, and as we exhale, we move back to kind of neutral position. Two more deep breaths. And from here, lift your head off the mat and find tabletop. Maybe you want to fold your mat if you want to have a little more cushion underneath your knees. Cat-cow, so exhale, you move your spine up. Inhale as you put some space in here at the front, looking up. And then you move using your breath. Kind of letting your breath guide every posture. Welcome to bend the elbows a little bit through every move. Notice that your hands are gripping firmly into the ground. And last, cat pose, moving your spine towards the sky. And then a neutral spine just for a second. Let your hip and your knees be aligned. Move your hands forward, maybe really long forward. Let your chest sink down, more like arch in the back, forehead down. Kind of a puppy pose without blocks. Let your belly reach down towards the mat. Stretch through your shoulders and through your chest. Lift your head off the mat and walk your hands onto the mat if they're not already there. Spread out your fingers. Maybe your finger will reach the outer edge of the mat and lift up your hip. Downward facing dog. Walk your dog just for a second. Move your hip. So do what feels good to open up your spine, open up your back. Remember to bend your elbows a little bit. And breathe a whole lot. All right, let's move our right leg to the front end of the mat. You can lift it up and then move it to the front end of your mat. Lift up your shoulder and your hand so it's easier to reach the foot to the front end of the mat. And then let's twist. So again, right arm up towards the sky. Let your hip sink low, still maybe option of moving a little bit. And let's kind of wave this hand so let your thumb move towards the ground. And then lift it up towards the sky and move your hand back, pinky finger, towards the back heel. Let's do that one more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Both fingers on the ground. Walk yourself back here. Maybe stretching both legs, maybe not. moving a little bit. Let your forehead sink towards the front leg there. I'll lift my toes off the ground, but you don't have to. Awesome. Step it back. Downward facing dog. Both hands down on the mat and step it back. Exhale and breathe out what you need to breathe out today. Let's do the left side. Lift your foot off the ground and then again step it through. Let your hips sink low, opening up the hip. Left arm towards the sky. Let your shoulder move back. Space in between each shoulder girdle. And then again, thumbs move to the front, waving our hands. You don't have to reach the floor, just a little bit down. Inhale up and exhale back. Inhale up and exhale down. A few more times. Slowly. And last time up and back. Up and to the front, and then framing the foot with your hands. Move it back, stretching again, both legs or not. Moving forward and back, opening up your legs. Hamstrings and all that's tight and tired maybe. The body can be tired both from sitting and moving too much. But I guess you know that. Beautiful. Let's move it to the front end of the mat. You can take a little bit of small steps. Forward fold. Get distance in between your feet and let your head hang. Maybe stretching a little bit in your back. Hamstrings, your back leg. Maybe move from your heels to the front of the toes without falling though. And notice if you're normally standing either on your heels or a bit more on your toes. And let's see if we can even out the stance on our feet. So stand still and see how that goes. Still with both feet on the ground, a small lift through the arch of the foot. Let your hips sink low, find chair pose. Knee and toes somewhat aligned. Let your arms reach forward. Sit and breathe. Let's do 3 more breaths here. Inhale. 3. Inhale, 2. And last one. I hope you feel something in your thighs. Stand tall, high mountain. Let your palms reach on top of your head. And let's move to your left side. So move your hip to your right and your arms to your left. Again, notice where you're standing with your feet, heel or toe. Then try to reach your fingers even further out to the side, and you'll probably feel something here on your shoulder. A stretch. Navel in, pelvic floor engaged as you lift up. And guess what? Move to the other side. Get length, get as long as you can from the back, left side all the way to your arm, left arm reaching out to the side. And notice if you hyperextend your knees. If you do, small micro bend. All right, navel in,
Pelvic floor in, lift up. Let your arms down by your side, mountain pose. Shake it off a little bit. Let your fingers take a hold of the back of your spine and lean back. Again, not hyperextending your knees. Let your hip, knees, and feet or heels actually stay somewhat aligned as you lift up. Maybe you'll let your head hang. Maybe just hold it a little bit. Don't go too crazy here. We don't want to overdo anything. We're not that warm. All right, move it back. And then melt forward. Shoulders down, head down. Navel in though, even though we're melting. And at some point your fingers will reach the floor. Let your right leg move back. I hope you can still watch the screen. We're moving into a wide stand with a little bit of movement. So move around on your mat so that your hips here are aligned with the long end of your mat. I recommend toes pointing a little bit in. And then let your forehead, or the top of your head, sink towards the mat. And I talked a lot about where we are standing with our feet. And on this pose, I would recommend that you do a little bit more body weight on your toes, on the knuckles of your toes, if that's what it's called. Probably you'll feel it stretch a little bit more on your hips, your calves. And to move a little bit more and open up our hips. Now let your feet be aligned with the short end of your mat, so not pointing in. And move to one side. Move to the other side. So you're kind of walking just from side to side. Let your feet just follow that direction that makes sense to you. Maybe you'll let your head hang, or maybe you'll lift a little bit up. Yeah. Make sure if you bend or knee that toes and knees are aligned. If that's more out, go ahead and do that. But move however it feels good. I'm thinking like a wave moving forth and back. Opening up hips. So be a little bit creative here. Beautiful. And then kind of walk your feet a little bit closer. And this time we will have our feet pointing out. And find this kind of a squat pose. So pretty big distance in between our knees. Root lock engaged. Find it. And let your fingers reach your thighs. Pinky finger towards your knee. And then on an exhale, you take your right shoulder and move it down with a small twist. Lift it up. And of course, left side moves down. And you can either just stay here for a little bit of a twist or move with your breath. Inhale as you lift up and exhale as you move down to the side. Now I know that our thighs will begin to feel something pretty soon. Try to go with me. Make sure you switch sides if you're not moving with your breath. Awesome. All right, fingers down on the floor and walk them to the front end of your mat where they normally are. Step it back, downward facing dog. And maybe side out. Sphinx pose, but first a plank. So come into your plank, and this time let's go down on our elbows. So bent down, fingers reaching forward. I see a lot of people folding their hands here, but actually we would like our shoulders, the girdle there, to be not kind of bended in. So try to lift a little bit through your shoulder blades. Push the floor way underneath the elbows. Navel in. And see that if you can align your hip with your shoulders. If it is too hard standing here for a few more breaths, come down on your knees. One last breath. Sneaking a little bit of power movements in here. Down on the knees, on your hip down. Now, Sphinx pose is not cobra, as we have our elbows down on the mat. So we want to move our shoulders back, like you're getting some more distance here in front of your chest. I'm thinking shorten the distance in between my shoulders and my heels. I'm not really doing that, but that's the sensation that I'm going for. Relax your thighs. Let your navel sink down. And maybe you feel something in the middle of your back instead of the lower part of your back. Breathe and let go of tension from your belly and down to your toes. Beautiful. Let go, stacking your hands, let your forehead reach your hands. Relax. So one of the last few stretches, right hand out on the floor here, shoulder and elbow aligned, like you're doing a cactus hand. Okay, right arm out to the side. We will lift through left arm. But first, lift left leg off the mat and turn it around. Maybe your foot can reach the floor, maybe not. Now, right shoulder stays heavy towards the ground. And you lift through your left arm. This is a shoulder stretch, chest stretch. If you don't feel anything, maybe rewind and listen to what I said again, as a lot of people are kind of struggling with getting this one. So stay down in your pose. I'll show you where it probably stretches. So if your right arm is out to the side, you'll probably feel something right here. You can let your head reach the mat. It's not a neck exercise or anything, so just relax wherever you want to. All right, let go. And of course, the other side. So again, cactus hand, 90-degree angle in your elbow. Right leg moves up and back. It's just really interesting that I can reach way further back with my right leg than I can with the other. Or maybe you feel a difference too. Relax your shoulder, your chest, your arm. One more big breath. Awesome. Let go. Come into seated pose on your mat. Find a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like. Maybe you move your shoulders a little bit up and down just to let go of any tension that might be there. And then we'll stretch our shoulders. Right arm up, bend your elbows and take your arms down by your shoulders. Left arm might come up and back. And maybe the fingers will reach each other, so you can take a hold. If not, just take a hold of your shirt, or even just push your elbow a little bit down. So make sure you don't lean forward and that your arm is not kind of moving your head forward. You want to sit as straight as possible. And notice if you lift your shoulders or do some weird stuff that when you relax, you're like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. Body awareness, that's called. Let go. Opposite side, just the same. Take a hold and just move your elbow down. Or let's see if the fingers can reach each other. Sit tall again. And relax. Last pose. Feet out to the side, wide seated, forward fold. Toes pointing up. And there's no right or wrong in how far the legs go from each other. It's all about your hips, what they allow. But let your toes point up so they don't lean in. Relax. You might do this kind of feeling of your thighs again as we lean forward, because this is where the stretching will, at least for me, really start. Maybe it starts before for you. But as you lean forward, you will definitely start to feel something on inner thighs and maybe on the hamstrings as well. Lean forward with your belly first, or your chest moving forward, so you don't go with your forehead. You'll feel this way more in your lower back. And again, relax. Body awareness. Let your belly sink a little bit lower. And you're tilting your pelvis a little bit more to the front. Two more big breaths. And maybe now you want to choose to sit and meditate, or just lay down on the mat and rest. Put a timer that will not be too loud on 5 minutes or so. If you want to sit, just find a comfortable seated position. And maybe say something to yourself that you need to hear. Maybe I'm worthy, or I'm good enough, or I can do it. Something that you want to remind yourself about in a positive way. I hope you enjoyed this practice. Thank you so much for all likes and subscribes and comments in the thing below. Bye.